Marcus Johnson walked through the busy airport terminal with his black leather briefcase in one hand and his phone in the other. He wore a dark blue suit that fit him perfectly, and his shoes were polished to shine. People turned to look at him as he passed by. He looked important, and he was. Marcus was the boss of a big technology company called Tech Vision Industries. His company made computer systems that helped other businesses work better. Today, he was flying from New York to Los Angeles for a very important meeting. This meeting could make his company $500 million richer. He checked his phone one more time before getting to the gate. His assistant, Kelly, had sent him a message. "Good luck with the big meeting tomorrow, Mr. Johnson. The plane leaves on time." Marcus smiled and put his phone away. At gate 15, Marcus showed his first-class ticket to the woman at the desk. She smiled and said, "Have a nice flight, sir." Marcus thanked her and walked down the long tunnel to the airplane. He had flown first class many times before. It was normal for him. The airplane was big and new. Marcus found his seat in the first-class section. It was seat 2A, right by the window. He put his briefcase in the space above his head and sat down. The seat was wide and comfortable. He opened a business magazine and started to read. A few minutes later, a flight attendant with brown hair walked up to him. Her name tag said Lisa Martinez. She looked at Marcus with a strange look on her face. Then she looked at the other people sitting in first class. All of them were white. "Excuse me," Lisa said to Marcus. "Can I see your boarding pass?" Marcus looked up from his magazine. He was surprised. No flight attendant had ever asked him this question before. "Sure," he said. He pulled the boarding pass from his jacket and handed it to her. Lisa looked at the ticket for a long time. She turned it over and looked at the back too. "Are you sure this is your seat?" she asked. "Yes, I am sure," Marcus said. "Seat 2A. That is what the ticket says, and that is where I am sitting." Lisa did not look happy. "Wait here," she said. She walked away quickly. Marcus felt confused. He looked at his ticket again. It was the right ticket for the right seat. He had bought it 2 weeks ago. His company always bought him first-class tickets for long flights. A few minutes later, Lisa came back with another flight attendant. This one was a white man with short black hair. His name tag said Kevin Brown. Both of them looked at Marcus like he did not belong there. "Sir," Kevin said, "we need to check your ticket again." Marcus gave Kevin his boarding pass. Kevin looked at it and showed it to Lisa. They talked in quiet voices so Marcus could not hear what they were saying. "Is there a problem?" Marcus asked. Other people in first class were starting to look at him. This made him feel uncomfortable. "We think there might be a mistake with your ticket," Lisa said. "Are you sure you bought first class?" Marcus could not believe what he was hearing. "Yes, I am sure. I fly first class all the time. I have been on this airline many times before." Kevin looked at Marcus's clothes and his briefcase. Marcus was dressed better than most people on the airplane. But Kevin did not seem to care about that. "We need to call our boss," Kevin said. He walked to the front of the airplane and picked up a phone. Marcus sat in his seat and waited. He felt angry, but he tried to stay calm. He knew that getting upset would only make things worse. But he also knew that this was not right. The flight attendants were treating him badly because he was black. A woman with gray hair walked over to Marcus. She looked older than Lisa and Kevin. Her name tag said Patricia Clark, and under her name it said Head Flight Attendant. "Sir, I am Patricia Clark," she said. "I understand there is a problem with your seat." "No, there is no problem with my seat," Marcus said. "The problem is with your staff. They keep asking me to show my ticket, but they are not asking anyone else." Patricia looked around the first-class section. She saw that Marcus was the only black person sitting there. But she did not want to admit that this was the real problem. "Sir, our computer system is showing that there might be an error with your ticket," Patricia said. This was not true, but she wanted to make it sound like a real computer problem. "Then check your computer again," Marcus said. He was getting more angry, but he kept his voice calm and quiet. Patricia walked away and talked to Lisa and Kevin. The three of them looked at Marcus and talked some more. Other passengers were watching now. Some of them took out their phones and started recording what was happening. A woman sitting across from Marcus leaned over and said quietly, "This is not right. You clearly belong in first class." Marcus thanked her but did not say anything else. He did not want to make the situation worse. Patricia came back to Marcus. "Sir, we are going to move you to economy class. We think this will solve the problem." "No," Marcus said firmly. "I paid for first class and I am going to sit in first class. I have done nothing wrong. If you do not move to economy, we will have to ask you to leave the airplane," Patricia said. Her voice was getting louder now. Marcus looked around. All the other passengers were watching him. Some were recording with their phones. He thought about his important meeting tomorrow. If he got kicked off this airplane, he might miss the meeting. That would be very bad for his company. Marcus made a difficult choice. He would move to economy class, but he would not forget what happened. These flight attendants did not know who he was or how much trouble they were about to cause for themselves and their airline. "Fine," Marcus said. "I will move. But I want all of your names and I want to speak to your boss when we land." Patricia looked relieved. "Thank you for understanding, sir." Marcus got his briefcase from above his seat. He walked to the back of the airplane while everyone watched him. He found an empty seat in economy class. It was much smaller and less comfortable than his first-class seat. As he sat down, Marcus took out his phone and started writing down everything that had just happened. He wrote down the names of all 3 flight attendants. He also wrote down the date and time and the flight number. Marcus did not know it yet, but in a few hours this airplane ride would cost the airline $500 million and destroy several careers. The 3 flight attendants who had just embarrassed him were about to learn a very expensive lesson about treating people with respect. Marcus sat in his small economy seat and looked out the window. The airplane was still on the ground, but it would take off soon. He felt angry about what had just happened, but he tried to stay calm. He had learned a long time ago that getting too upset only made bad situations worse. The seat next to him was empty, but the seat by the window had a young woman with red hair. She had seen everything that happened in first class. When Marcus sat down, she looked at him with kind eyes. "I am so sorry about what just happened," she whispered. "That was completely wrong. My name is Amy." "Thank you," Marcus said quietly. "I am Marcus. I appreciate you saying that." Amy shook her head. "I recorded some of it on my phone. If you need it later, I can send it to you." Marcus was surprised. "You recorded it?" "Yes. And so did several other people. What those flight attendants did was terrible. Everyone could see. It was because you're black." Marcus nodded. He was glad that other people had seen the truth. "Thank you. That might be very helpful." The airplane started to pull away from the gate. Marcus took out his phone and started typing. He wrote down everything he could remember about the incident. He wrote the exact words that Lisa, Kevin, and Patricia had said to him. He also wrote down the time when each thing happened. While he was writing, the pilot's voice came over the speaker. "Good morning, everyone. This is Captain Steve Miller. We are ready for takeoff. The flight to Los Angeles will take about 3 hours. The weather is good, so we should have a smooth flight." Marcus put on his seatbelt and kept typing on his phone. He wanted to write everything down while it was still fresh in his memory. He knew that details were important. After the airplane took off, Marcus opened his laptop. He had work to do during the flight. Tomorrow's meeting was very important and he needed to be ready. But first, he decided to check his email. He had 12 new messages. 3 of them were from his assistant, Kelly. The first one said, "Mr. Johnson, I hope your flight is going well. The meeting is confirmed for tomorrow at 10 in the morning." The second email was sent just 20 minutes ago. "Mr. Johnson, some people are posting things about you on social media. Please call me when you can." The third email was sent just 5 minutes ago. "Mr. Johnson, this is urgent. Please call me as soon as possible. The story's going viral." Marcus felt confused. He did not understand what Kelly was talking about. He decided to check social media on his phone. When he opened Twitter, he could not believe what he saw. There were videos of him being moved from first class to economy. The videos showed Lisa, Kevin, and Patricia treating him badly. People were sharing the videos and writing angry comments about the airline. One video had been watched 50,000 times already. Another video had 30,000 views. People were using hashtags like airline discrimination and flight shame and justice for Marcus. Marcus read some of the comments. Most people were very angry about how he had been treated. Some people wrote things like, "This is disgusting," and "Sue the airline and I will never fly with them again." But Marcus also saw that some people were trying to find out who he was. A few people had posted things like, "Does anyone know this man's name? And we need to identify him so we can support him." Marcus felt worried. He did not want his name to become public yet. He had an important business meeting tomorrow, and he did not want this incident to affect that meeting. He decided to call Kelly. The phone rang 2 times before she answered. "Mr. Johnson, thank God you called," Kelly said. She sounded very stressed. "Have you seen the internet?" "I just looked at it," Marcus said. "How did this happen so fast?" People on the airplane posted videos while it was happening. Then other people started sharing the videos. Now it is all over Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. News websites are starting to write about it too. Marcus felt his stomach drop. News websites? Yes, sir. CNN just posted a story. So did NBC and ABC. They are calling it a case of airline discrimination. The videos are spreading very fast. Marcus looked around the airplane. Several people were looking at their phones and then looking at him. He realized that some of them might recognize him from the videos. "Kelly, I need you to do something for me," Marcus said. "Call our lawyers. Tell them what happened and ask them what I should do." "I already called them, sir. They want to talk to you as soon as you land. They said not to talk to any reporters until you speak with them first." "Good thinking," Marcus said. "What else is happening?" Kelly was quiet for a moment. "Sir, the airline's stock price is starting to go down. Some big investors are selling their shares because they are worried about the bad publicity." Marcus could not believe what he was hearing. The incident had happened less than an hour ago, and it was already affecting the airline's business. "Also, sir," Kelly continued, "I am getting calls from reporters. They want to interview you. What should I tell them?" "Tell them no comment for now," Marcus said. "We need to be careful about this." After Marcus hung up, he tried to focus on his work. But it was hard to concentrate. Every few minutes his phone buzzed with a new notification. More people were sharing the videos. More people were writing angry comments about the airline. During the flight, Lisa Martinez walked through the economy section several times. Each time she passed Marcus, she gave him unfriendly looks. When Marcus asked for a glass of water, Lisa took a long time to bring it to him. When he asked for peanuts, she said they were out of peanuts. But Marcus saw her give peanuts to other passengers just a few minutes later. Amy, the woman sitting next to Marcus, noticed this too. "She is still treating you badly," Amy whispered. "This is unbelievable." Marcus just shook his head. He did not want to cause more trouble during the flight. But he was writing down everything that Lisa was doing. This information might be important later. About halfway through the flight, a man in a business suit walked back from first class. He stopped at Marcus's row and leaned down. "Excuse me," the man said quietly. "I saw what happened when you were boarding. I just wanted you to know that what they did was completely wrong. I have your video on my phone too if you need it." "Thank you," Marcus said. "I really appreciate that." "I fly a lot for business," the man continued. "I have never seen anything like this before. Those flight attendants should be fired." After the man walked away, Marcus realized that this situation was much bigger than he had thought. It was not just about him anymore. People all over the country were watching and talking about what had happened. Marcus looked out the window and saw the ground far below. In just 2 hours, he would land in Los Angeles. Tomorrow, he would go to his meeting with the airline's executives. But they did not know yet that he was the same person from the viral videos. Marcus smiled for the first time since boarding the airplane. Those executives were about to get the biggest surprise of their lives. The airplane landed at Los Angeles International Airport right on time. Marcus gathered his things and walked off the plane. Lisa Martinez stood by the door saying goodbye to passengers, but she did not look at Marcus when he passed by. Patricia, Clark and Kevin Brown were nowhere to be seen. Marcus walked through the busy airport terminal. His driver, Tony, was waiting for him near the baggage claim area. Tony had worked for Marcus's company for 3 years and always picked him up at the airport. "Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson," Tony said with a smile. "How was your flight?" Marcus thought about everything that had happened. "It was interesting, Tony. Very interesting." As they walked to the car, Marcus checked his phone again. The videos from the airplane now had over 2 million views. The story was on the front page of major news websites. His assistant, Kelly, had sent him 5 more emails about reporters who wanted to interview him. "Tony, we need to go straight to the Skyline Airlines headquarters," Marcus said as they got in the car. "The meeting is in 1 hour." "Yes, sir," Tony said. "Is everything okay? You look stressed." Marcus decided not to tell Tony about the airplane incident yet. "Just thinking about the big meeting today. This could be very good for our company." As they drove through Los Angeles traffic, Marcus thought about the meeting he was about to have. For 6 months, his company TechVision Industries had been working on a deal with Skyline Airlines. The airline wanted to buy new computer systems, navigation equipment, and customer service technology from Marcus's company. The total value of the contract was $500 million. It would be the biggest deal in Marcus's company's history. The contract would also give Skyline Airlines better technology than any of their competitors. It would help them serve customers better and make more money. Marcus had met with Skyline's executives several times over the past few months. The airline's boss, Richard Palmer, seemed very excited about working together. The other executives, including Helen Carter and Daniel Brooks, had also been very friendly and professional. Today's meeting was supposed to be the final step. They would sign the contract and announce the partnership to the public. Marcus had brought all the legal documents in his briefcase. But now Marcus was not sure what would happen. The viral videos were spreading fast, and people were very angry at Skyline Airlines. Marcus wondered if the airline executives had seen the videos yet. 20 minutes later, Tony pulled up to the Skyline Airlines headquarters building. It was a tall glass building with the airline's logo on the front. Marcus had been there 3 times before for earlier meetings. "I will wait here for you, Mr. Johnson," Tony said. "Thank you, Tony. This meeting might take longer than planned." Marcus walked into the building lobby. The security guard recognized him from his previous visits. "Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson," the guard said. "Mr. Palmer is expecting you. You can go right up to the 20th floor." Marcus took the elevator to the 20th floor. The elevator was quiet, and Marcus used the time to think about what he wanted to say. He was still angry about what had happened on the airplane, but he also needed to be professional. When the elevator doors opened, Marcus saw Richard Palmer's assistant, Carol, waiting for him. "Mr. Johnson, welcome back," Carol said. "Everyone is very excited about today's meeting. They are waiting for you in the big conference room." Marcus followed Carol down a long hallway. Through the windows, he could see other office workers at their desks. Some of them were looking at their computer screens and talking in worried voices. Marcus wondered if they were reading about the viral airplane videos. Carol opened the door to the conference room. Inside, Richard Palmer was sitting at a large table with 4 other executives. Marcus recognized Helen Carter, the head of customer service, and Daniel Brooks, the head of technology. There were also 2 other men he had not met before. "Marcus," Richard Palmer said with a big smile. He stood up and walked over to shake Marcus's hand. "We are so happy to see you. Today is going to be a great day for both our companies." Marcus shook Richard's hand but did not smile back. "Hello, Richard. We need to talk." Richard looked confused by Marcus's serious tone. Of course. Please sit down. Can we get you some coffee or water?" Marcus sat down at the table and put his briefcase on the floor. The 5 airline executives were all looking at him with happy, excited faces. They had no idea what was about to happen. "Before we talk about the contract," Marcus said, "I need to ask you something. Have any of you been on the internet today?" Helen Carter laughed. "Oh, Marcus, we have been too busy getting ready for this meeting." "Why do you ask?" Richard Palmer opened his laptop. Actually, let me check our company's social media accounts. We like to see what people are saying about us. He started typing on his keyboard. Marcus watched Richard's face as he looked at his computer screen. At first, Richard looked normal. Then his eyes got very wide, his face turned pale. His mouth opened, but no words came out. "Richard, what is wrong?" Daniel Brooks asked. "You look like you saw a ghost." Richard turned his laptop screen so everyone could see it. On the screen was a video of Marcus being moved from first class to economy class on the Skyline Airlines flight that morning. The video had been viewed over 3 million times. "Oh my God," Helen Carter whispered. "Is that you, Marcus?" Marcus nodded. "Yes, that is me. This morning on your airline, your flight attendants decided that I did not belong in first class. They forced me to move to economy class even though I had a valid first-class ticket." The room became very quiet. The 5 executives stared at the laptop screen and then at Marcus. They were starting to understand how much trouble they were. Daniel Brooks picked up his phone and started reading. "There are hundreds of news articles about this. People are calling for boycotts of our airline. Our stock price has dropped 15% since this morning." 15%? Richard Palmer repeated. "That means we have lost hundreds of millions of dollars in value already." Marcus opened his briefcase and took out the contract documents. He placed them on the table in front of him. "I came here today to sign a $500 million deal with your company. I was looking forward to working with you." Richard Palmer leaned forward. "Marcus, please let me explain. We had no idea this happened. We are so sorry. We will fire those flight attendants immediately. We will do whatever it takes to make this right." Marcus looked around the table at all 5 executives. They were all looking at him with desperate, worried faces. They knew that their company was in serious trouble. "Richard," Marcus said calmly, 3 hours ago, your employees treated me like a criminal because of the color of my skin. They humiliated me in front of a plane full of people. They made me feel like I was not good enough to sit in first class even though I had paid for that seat." Helen Carter had tears in her eyes. "Marcus, we are so sorry. This does not represent who we are as a company." Marcus stood up and put the contract documents back in his briefcase. "Actually, Helen, I think it represents exactly who you are as a company. Your employees felt comfortable treating me that way because your company has created a culture where this kind of behavior is acceptable." "What can we do?" Richard Palmer asked. "Please tell us how to fix this." Marcus walked toward the door. The 5 executives watched him with fear in their eyes. They knew that he was about to walk away with the biggest business deal in their company's history. "You cannot fix this, Richard," Marcus said. "Some things cannot be undone. Your flight attendants made their choice this morning. Now I am making mine." Marcus opened the conference room door and walked out. Behind him, he could hear the executives talking in panicked voices. Their $500 million deal had just walked out the door, and their company's reputation was being destroyed on social media. As Marcus walked back to the elevator, he felt a mixture of sadness and satisfaction. He was sad that discrimination still happened in the world, but he was satisfied that there would finally be consequences for the people who had treated him badly. The elevator doors closed, and Marcus headed back down to the lobby. In a few hours, the whole world would know that Skyline Airlines had just lost the biggest contract in their history because their employees could not treat a black man with respect. Marcus walked out of the Skyline Airlines building and got back into the car with Tony. As they drove away, Marcus could see people with cameras and microphones gathering outside the building. News reporters had found out about the meeting and were coming to ask questions. "Mr. Johnson, are those reporters?" Tony asked, looking in his rearview mirror. "Yes, Tony. This story is getting very big, very fast." Marcus's phone rang. It was his assistant Kelly calling from New York. "Mr. Johnson, how did the meeting go?" Kelly asked. "The meeting is over, Kelly. There will be no deal with Skyline Airlines." Kelly was quiet for a moment. "Sir, the story is everywhere now. It is on every news channel. CNN is calling it the biggest airline discrimination story in years." Marcus looked out the car window as they drove through Los Angeles. "Kelly, I need you to set up a meeting with our lawyers first thing tomorrow morning. We need to talk about What happens next? Yes, sir. Also, United Aviation Corp called. They want to meet with you about a partnership. So did 2 other airlines. Marcus was not surprised. When one company makes a big mistake, their competitors try to take advantage of it. Set up meetings with all of them, but not until next week. I need time to think about this. After Marcus hung up, Tony looked at him in the rearview mirror. Mr. Johnson, what is really going on? This seems like more than just a business meeting. Marcus decided to tell Tony the truth. He explained everything that had happened on the airplane that morning. Tony listened with his mouth open, shaking, his head in disbelief. That is terrible, Mr. Johnson. I am so sorry that happened to you. Thank you, Tony. But I think those flight attendants are going to be much more sorry than I am. While Marcus was driving through Los Angeles, the situation at Skyline Airlines was getting worse by the hour. In the conference room, Richard Palmer was on the phone with the company's crisis management team. Helen Carter was reading news articles on her laptop, and her face was getting paler by the minute. Richard, you need to see this, Helen said. The New York Times just published a big story about Marcus and our company. They are calling him one of the most successful technology executives in the country. Richard Palmer put down his phone. What else does the article say? It says his company, Tech Vision Industries, has contracts with Google, Microsoft, and the U.S. government. It says he was named Business Executive of the Year last year. Richard, we just insulted and humiliated one of the most important businessmen in America. Daniel Brooks was looking at his phone. Our stock price has dropped another 10%. We have lost almost $400 million in value since this morning. Richard Palmer felt sick to his stomach. In one day, his company had gone from being excited about a big new partnership to losing hundreds of millions of dollars and becoming a national embarrassment. We need to do something right now, Richard said. Get our public relations team on the phone. We need to make a statement. But it was too late for statements. The story was already spreading around the world. News channels in Europe and Asia were reporting about the American airline that had discriminated against a successful black businessman. Social media was full of angry people saying they would never fly with Skyline Airlines again. At the same time, Lisa Martinez, Kevin Brown, and Patricia Clark were at their homes watching the news in shock. None of them had known who Marcus was when they treated him badly on the airplane. Now they were seeing his picture on television and learning that he was a millionaire executive. Lisa was crying as she watched CNN. The reporter was showing the video of her forcing Marcus to move to economy class. Her friends and family were calling her phone, but she was too embarrassed to answer. Kevin was pacing around his apartment. His girlfriend was asking him what was wrong, but he could not explain how badly he had messed up. He kept thinking about the moment when he had looked at Marcus and decided he did not belong in first class. Patricia was the most worried of all. As the head flight attendant, she knew that she was responsible for what had happened. She had been working for Skyline Airlines for 15 years. Now her career was probably over. The 3 flight attendants did not know it yet, but their boss had already made a decision about their future. Richard Palmer had called the head of human resources and told her to suspend all 3 of them immediately. The airline could not afford to keep employees who had caused such a huge problem. By evening, the story was the top news on every major television network. Marcus's picture was on the front page of newspapers across the country. Late-night talk show hosts were making jokes about Skyline Airlines. The hashtag Skyline discrimination was trending worldwide on social media. Marcus was in his hotel room in Los Angeles, watching the news coverage. He felt strange seeing his own face on television and hearing reporters talk about him. He had never wanted to become famous this way. His phone rang constantly. Reporters from around the world wanted to interview him. Civil rights organizations wanted him to speak at their events. Other business executives were calling to offer their support, but Marcus was not ready to talk to the media yet. He wanted to think carefully about what to say and how to say it. He knew that his words would be heard by millions of people. The next morning, Marcus woke up to find that the story had gotten even bigger overnight. International news networks were now covering it. The president of the NAACP had issued a statement calling for a full investigation of Skyline Airlines. Several members of Congress were demanding that the airline face consequences. Meanwhile, at Skyline Airlines headquarters, Richard Palmer was having the worst day of his career. The company's board of directors had called an emergency meeting. Major customers were canceling their contracts with the airline. Travel agents were telling people to fly with other companies instead. "Richard, we need to talk," said the chairman of the board, William Gray. "This situation is destroying our company. What are you going to do about it?" Richard Palmer looked around the room at the other board members. They were all staring at him with angry, worried faces. "We are going to fire the 3 flight attendants who caused this problem. We are going to apologize publicly to Mr. Johnson, and we are going to implement new training programs to make sure this never happens again." "That is not enough," said board member Susan Lee. "We have already lost over $500 million in stock value. We lost the biggest contract in our company's history. Our reputation is ruined. Something like this cannot be fixed with an apology and some training classes." William Gray nodded. "Richard, I think you need to consider whether you are the right person to lead this company through this crisis." Richard Palmer understood what William was really saying. The board was thinking about firing him. In less than 24 hours, a simple case of discrimination had turned into a disaster that was threatening to destroy the entire company. The 3 flight attendants who had started all of this were sitting at home, watching their lives fall apart on television. They had made a decision in a few seconds that morning, and now the whole world knew their names and faces. They were about to learn that actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are much bigger than anyone could imagine. Lisa Martinez turned off her television and sat in her dark living room. She wondered if she would ever be able to work as a flight attendant again. She wondered if any airline would hire someone who had become famous for discriminating against passengers. The answer, she would soon find out, was no. 2 weeks after the airplane incident, Marcus stood in front of a room full of reporters at his company's headquarters in New York. Camera lights were bright on his face, and microphones were pointed toward him from every direction. This was his first public statement since the discrimination incident. Marcus wore a dark blue suit, the same color he had worn on the airplane. He looked calm and confident as he walked to the podium. The room became quiet as everyone waited to hear what he would say. "Good morning," Marcus said. "Thank you all for coming. 2 weeks ago, I experienced discrimination on a Skyline Airlines flight. Today, I want to tell you what my company has decided to do." Marcus paused and looked around the room. He could see reporters from CNN, NBC, ABC, and newspapers from around the world. This story had become much bigger than just one airplane incident. After careful consideration, TechVision Industries has decided not to work with Skyline Airlines. We cannot partner with a company that allows discrimination against its customers. Instead, we have signed a contract with United Aviation Corp. The reporters started talking excitedly and taking pictures. This was the news they had been waiting for. Marcus raised his hand to ask for quiet. "The contract with United Aviation Corp is worth $500 million over the next 5 years. This partnership will help United Airlines provide better service to their customers and stay ahead of their competitors." At United Airlines headquarters in Chicago, executives were celebrating. They had been trying to compete with Skyline Airlines for years. Now they had just received the biggest technology contract in the industry, all because their competitor had made a terrible mistake. "This is the best thing that has ever happened to our company," said United CEO Robert Chen. "Skyline Airlines gave us a gift when they treated Mr. Johnson badly." Meanwhile, at Skyline Airlines, Richard Palmer was watching Marcus's press conference on television in his office. Each word that Marcus spoke felt like a punch to Richard's stomach. The $500 million contract was really gone forever. Richard's secretary knocked on his door. "Mr. Palmer, the board of directors wants to see you in the conference room." Richard knew what this meeting was about. He walked slowly to the conference room where all the board members were waiting for him. Their faces looked serious and angry. "Richard, please sit down," said William Gray, the chairman of the board. We have made a decision about your future with this company. Richard sat down but did not say anything. He already knew what they were going to tell him. The board has voted, William continued. We think it is best for the company if you resign as CEO. This situation has damaged our reputation too much. We need new leadership to try to fix what has been broken. Richard nodded slowly. He had been the CEO of Skyline Airlines for 8 years. Now his career was ending because of what 3 flight attendants had done to 1 passenger. I understand, Richard said. I will announce my resignation this afternoon. While Richard Palmer was losing his job, Lisa Martinez, Kevin Brown, and Patricia Clark were at home, still trying to understand how their lives had changed so completely. All 3 had been fired from Skyline Airlines the day after the incident. Lisa was sitting in her kitchen, reading job postings on her laptop. She had applied to work for 6 different airlines, but none of them had called her back. When she called to ask about the jobs, the hiring managers said the same thing. We cannot hire someone who was involved in a discrimination incident. Kevin was having the same problem. He had worked as a flight attendant for 5 years and had always gotten good reviews from his supervisors, but now no airline would hire him. His name and picture had been in newspapers around the world. Everyone in the airline industry knew who he was. Patricia was in the worst situation of all. She had been a flight attendant for 15 years and had been promoted to head flight attendant 3 years ago. She had worked hard to build her career, and now it was completely destroyed. How could we have been so stupid, Patricia said to herself as she looked at job postings for restaurant servers and store clerks. She would have to start over in a completely different career. The 3 former flight attendants had learned a hard lesson about consequences. Their decision to treat Marcus badly had taken only a few minutes, but the results would affect the rest of their lives. Back at the press conference, Marcus was still answering questions from reporters. Mr. Johnson, what do you want people to learn from this story? Asked a reporter from the Washington Post. Marcus thought for a moment before answering. I want people to understand that discrimination hurts everyone. It hurt me personally, but it also hurt Skyline Airlines, their employees, and their shareholders. When you treat people badly because of their race, everyone loses. Another reporter raised her hand. Will you take legal action against the airline? My lawyers and I are still discussing that, Marcus said, but I want to focus on positive change, not just punishment. Marcus had already decided what he wanted to do with any money he might receive from a lawsuit. He was planning to create a scholarship program for minority students who wanted to study business or technology. He wanted something good to come from this bad experience. Mr. Johnson, do you have any message for the flight attendants who treated you badly? Asked a reporter from CNN. Marcus paused. He had thought about Lisa, Kevin, and Patricia many times over the past 2 weeks. He felt angry about what they had done, but he also felt sorry for them in some ways. I hope they have learned from this experience, Marcus said. I hope they understand that every person deserves to be treated with respect, regardless of their race or appearance. Maybe losing their jobs will teach them something that their training never did. The press conference lasted for 30 minutes. When it was over, Marcus felt relieved. He had said what he wanted to say, and now he could focus on running his business and moving forward. Over the next few months, the effects of the airplane incident continued to spread. Skyline Airlines' stock price never fully recovered. The Baito company had to lay off thousands of workers because they lost so many customers. Other airlines used the incident in their advertising, promising that they treated all passengers with respect. The incident also led to changes in the airline industry. Many airlines created new training programs about discrimination in customer service. The government started investigating complaints about discrimination more seriously. Marcus's scholarship program became very successful. In the first year, it helped 50 minority students pay for college. Many of those students wrote letters to Marcus, thanking him for turning a negative experience into something positive. Lisa Martinez eventually found a job working at a small hotel near her home. She made much less money than she had as a flight attendant, but she was grateful to be working. She often thought about that morning on the airplane and wished she could change what she had done. Kevin Brown moved to a different city and got a job working for a car rental company. He never told his new co-workers about his past as a flight attendant. The shame of what he had done stayed with him every day. Patricia Clark had the hardest time finding work. At age 45, she had to completely change careers. She eventually became a teacher's assistant at an elementary school. The pay was very low, but she found that she enjoyed working with children. 1 year after the incident, Marcus was invited to speak at a business conference about leadership and ethics. During his speech, he talked about the airplane incident and what it had taught him. That day on the airplane was one of the worst days of my life, Marcus told the audience. But it also showed me something important. It showed me that one person's bad decision can affect hundreds or even thousands of other people. As leaders, we have a responsibility to make sure our organizations treat everyone fairly. The audience gave Marcus a long round of applause. His story had become famous around the world, not just because of the discrimination he faced, but because of how he had handled it with dignity and used it to create positive change. The airplane incident had lasted only a few minutes, but its effects would continue for years. It had destroyed some careers and changed others. It had cost one company hundreds of millions of dollars while helping their competitor become more successful. Most importantly, it had reminded everyone that in the modern world, there is no such thing as a small act of discrimination. Every action can be recorded, shared, and seen by millions of people within hours. The 3 flight attendants had learned this lesson the hard way, and their story would be remembered as a warning to others about the true cost of treating people badly